Just as sunflowers chase the sun, inductees into the South Dakota Hall of Fame chase their dreams day after day, year after year. The 700-plus inductees in the Hall of Fame come from all backgrounds and corners of our state. What their stories have in common is their unwavering courage and belief in their dreams. These dream chasers are an inspiration for us all to strive for excellence and believe in our own potential to chase dreams well into the future.
As Professor of Electrical Engineering at South Dakota State University, Dr. Duane Sander guided 20 Master of Science in Engineering student projects toward completion of a thesis and publication. On becoming a professor in the Electrical Engineering Department at South Dakota State University in 1967, he spent his entire teaching career at SDSU. He retired in 1999 after serving as interim dean and dean of engineering for 10 years. Duane has been active in community and church organizations in Brookings, South Dakota since moving there in 1967. He continues to make an impact and has helped change South Dakota in positive ways.
We're talking today with Hall of Fame inductee Dr. Duane Sander, a native of Howard, South Dakota, a undergrad of the School of Mines, master's and PhD from Iowa State in electrical engineering. Then you went on to a distinguished career at South Dakota State University as a professor and dean of engineering, retiring in 1999, if I'm remembering it correctly. So that is a very brief thumbnail, along with your entrepreneurial experience as a co-founder of Daktronics, one of the first investment funds and angel funds in the state of South Dakota that you were engaged in. And I'd kind of like to use that, Duane, as the launch for our conversation. As you look back on your career now and your life in South Dakota, of all the things that you've accomplished, what were the moments that were really pivotal in directing you to your career and what you did?
Well, I think when my father said to me before or after I had graduated from high school, I was wondering, should I go into agriculture or should I move into some of the other areas that I had looked at, and I'd been encouraged in high school to go to the School of Mines. And I thought, well, should I go to the School of Mines and be an engineer, or go to South Dakota State would probably have been where I would have gone. And he said to me, you can do anything you want to do. You don't have to come back to the farm and farm. If you enjoy engineering, that would be best. And both my mother and father really encouraged that, and I decided to go to the School of Mines. I think that was a pivotal time in my life. And then as I went through the education, I think there were professors that certainly encouraged me and made engineering interesting. So that's how I ended up in the engineering field. After I finished graduate work, I went into the military because of an ROTC obligation. And that again was really an eye-opening experience for me, being from South Dakota and not having traveled very much. That was very eye-opening.
And you spent time in Washington, D.C. as part of your military obligation. Talk a little about that.
Well, I was, my military obligation was during the Vietnam War and also the Cold War. So I was in a really an interesting organization. It was called Foreign Science and Technology Center. So we were looking at all of the different foreign technical accomplishments throughout the world, and we certainly had some interesting concerns and how to gather the right information so that our fighting personnel knew what they were up against, and that was an interesting time. We also lived in Alexandria, Virginia, and that was also interesting. One of my favorite stories is while we were at boot camp, I made many very close friends, and one of the friends wanted to come to Washington, D.C., and I said, I'll meet you at the Lincoln Memorial, and I'll guide you back to our apartment in Alexandria, Virginia, and my wife is making supper at 6 o'clock. So I said, I'll meet you at about 5 o'clock. It'll take us a while. Well, this was the probably the second week I'd been in Washington, D.C. and Alexandria. I think we had supper at 8 o'clock because it took me that long to find where I really lived.
Hit those circles and you're lost
Right.
forever, right.